Long time no see, but it has been worth the wait as we give you some transfer portal updates around the ACC. A lot of people are finding new homes, some within the conference, some taking their talents elsewhere, as well as some Military Bowl and Holiday Bowl updates. Duke and North Carolina are set to take on some really good teams in UCF and Oregon, but will it be enough? Do they have the squad, especially in North Carolina, to do the damn thing? Let's talk about it on today's show.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace Cooper. Thanks so much for joining us today. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts, and you could also subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is always a good time. Kenton Gibbs here of Locked On Wolfpack joins the show each and every day, just about to talk about things going on around the conference. Kenton, how are you feeling? How was your Christmas?
You know, it was a great Christmas. I went back home. Home for me is Detroit, and it was a great time being with family, seeing old friends, all that good stuff. It was a great time. Also ran into one of my favorite rappers, so that was great as well. Shout out to Baby Tron.
I was gonna say, you're gonna tell people who your favorite rapper is. That's cool.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites. He's right up there in the top five.
Top five.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. Well, we got a good show here for you. We got some transfer portal updated news. We used to be the quarterback conference, but now it seems that all of our quarterbacks damn near are finding new homes. So we're going to talk about that today, as well as some other key positions for our schools and where they're going. We also got the Military Bowl and the Holiday Bowl to go over, as both teams will play on December 28th. That would be the Wednesday. Now, let's talk about transfer portal in case you missed it. So let's start with the season, right? We normally have been a hardcore quarterback league. We've been known for having some really talented quarterbacks. We've been known for really just being where everyone, you got to have a shootout. You got to have a strong, sound defense. You have to make sure you play top tier every time you hit the field, because we have so many good quarterbacks. And yet this season felt like just a real lull. There was a lot of hype around it, and it just felt like a real drag in quarterback performance. What would you say?
I agree. I was just about to say, when you said we're known as a quarterback conference, I'm like, known or were known? Because last year our quarterback play was, I don't know, we were looking a little shaky on this side.
Yeah, it was a little dicey for sure. But we know that, sometimes in this day and age where transfer portal is a dime a dozen, you got to find a new home and go elsewhere. So let's start with the main quarterback, who to me was the most talked about throughout the season, DJ Uiagaleilei, DJ U, sometimes we call him here. Clemson, they held on for as long as they could. But then Cade started to show himself a little flashes, couple games throughout the season. Syracuse game, he brought them back. And, they also looked at the ACC championship game to where it was pretty much all Cade after, 2 series. And DJ had to find a new home. It was pretty much all said and done from that point. He is now going to Oregon State, which a lot of people were interested because his brother is actually going to Oregon. I would say Oregon State is probably good for him. He's a West Coast guy. He can be back closer to family. He can do all the things. He can, be a part of a team that can have some success, but maybe not as, highlighted as prevalently as Clemson.
I think that DJ needed to change the scenery, but also there is, I'll say this. A lot of people don't like this take, but there's a very serious reality about or there's a very serious question rather about are the quarterbacks who have come out of Clemson really great because they came out of Clemson and Clemson developed them? Or are they great just because they were that when they got there and it took very minimal development? Because DJ, it seemed like all the physical tools were there. There just wasn't certain parts of his game that were developed and worked on, like his footwork is something that from day one till the ACC championship game, it never quite caught up. And that could be on him. It could very well be that he was the problem there, but he just wasn't developed in a meaningful way. So it's going to be interesting to see what goes on with him at Oregon State. And, how Cade Klubnik turns out, but there is the question to be asked there.
Yeah, I also think like we'll see whether the progress is real or true to your statements. How Cade does when he's at Clemson. Is he God-given talent? Like, it's cool to see it now when there's not much film on him and guys are still learning, his attributes and all the things. But once he starts really getting the thick of the season, will fans, will coaches in the system stay true to him, or will they ditch him? Kind of like I felt they did DJ personally. I felt like they gave up on Buddy, which is fine. Listen, you have a certain standard, but it felt a little icier than what we were probably used to seeing out of the Clemson Tigers. Next quarterback, who arguably, I just don't think he should ever be a starter, but do your damn thing. Kedon Slovis, he's heading to BYU after a very brief stint at Pitt. We even had him taken out many a times during the season, but Phil Jurkovec, former Boston College quarterback, will be at the helm in Pittsburgh. But Kedon, just go be great. Go be great somewhere else. This is what, his third school?
Yes, it's his third school. He started off at USC, went to Pitt, now he's headed to BYU. And let me just say this, okay? I believe there are upwards of 130 FBS teams. Okay, 130.
Mm-hmm.
Kedon Slovis, there's 131 currently, according to Google. 131. With that being said, there's somewhere for a lot of quarterbacks to start. That's at least 131 starting positions. I think Kedon Slovis is one of the best 130. I think that. I think that we can say that he is probably one of the best 130.
Okay, like 127.
Well, really, it's not even best 130. It's more like 150, because when you really break it down, the numbers, there's a few schools with guys who could be starting elsewhere, sitting behind somebody else because they're like, all right, I got to sit for a year, and then I'm going to take over Alabama, or I'm going to sit for a year, and I'm going to take over Oregon, or whatever the case may be.
So he's like 147.
Yeah. That's probably,
I think he is on track to being a great enterprise associate. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's on his way.
Team MVP for BYU will look great on his team. It'll look great on
100%. 100%.
Best of luck to Mr. Slovis. Best of luck.
1,000%. Next quarterback we want to go over here, who was the ACC preseason player of the year. He was supposed to do all the things, take this NC State team to a higher level. Injury, held him back. Devin Leary is taking his talent from NC State to Kentucky, which we look at, Levis? Is it Levis? Mr. Levis? Will Levis, who is now taking his talents to the league, allegedly. I think it's going to be a great backup. Devin Leary, maybe we'll find something in Lexington that'll help him truly turn things around and end on a brighter note.
I thought his name was pronounced Levi's until somebody corrected me. Anywho, Devin Leary going to Kentucky. I think that this is a best case scenario for all parties involved, honestly. MJ Moore showed a lot of promise, showed a lot of things that got people in Raleigh excited and going in the absence of Devin Leary, and then the quarterback carousel that we have rotating and whatnot. And with that being said, I think that there is a very serious there needs to be a very serious examination of, this is moments like this is the benefit of the portal, right? A situation where it doesn't necessarily make sense for a player to come back and be under a new offensive coordinator.
Yep.
And have a situation where he's going back to the team where 2 of the last 3 years he got injured and missed half of the season or more. He wants something new, something fresh, and he deserves to go get it, right? Nobody at NC State is mad at him or hating on him or saying that there's, something wrong with him or his character. He's made a glass. It's simply, this is best for all parties. And as far as his fit at Kentucky, I definitely think that there's a fit there, because I think that he'll be the best quarterback that Kentucky has had in I'd probably say a very, very long time, at least the last decade that I can remember. So,
yeah. And I also think it'll be good for him to get that SEC competition, especially when it comes to draft conversations and, whether or not he gets picked up. I think it's an awesome opportunity for him. And I think it's good for NC State to move on. Like, they did the thing, they gave him the shots. Now they can really build up MJ and hopefully get that thing rolling. But I love how I was on the radio the other day in North Carolina. We just kindly skip over the Chambers era. Like, we just don't even mention it, Jack Chambers. Like, it's a blip.
It was not an error. It was an error. Understand? No disrespect to Mr. Chambers. No disrespect. He came in and
He
won
did
that
what needed to be done
with his legs.
Yeah.
He came in and did what needed to be done in other games. But that was not an error. That was an error. With all due respect to Mr. Chambers, it was. I mean, he couldn't hit the shot of a super Walmart from the parking lot. Now, you can't play an ACC with that ball, baby. You can't do it.
These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small businesses. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn Jobs is right there for you. I'm telling you, you got to check out the candidates. Don't sleep on LinkedIn. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions do apply. Rocking and rolling, talking about transfer portal updates while you were on holiday break. I'm sure you missed some of these bad boys, but the next quarterback we want to touch on here, Jeff Sims, our Georgia Tech, phenom he could be. He has all the potential in the world to be great. Just needs a new change of pace, and we're thinking that Lincoln, Nebraska might be it with Matt Rule as he becomes the new Nebraska Cornhuskers QB1.
I'm still down laughing at the idea that he wasn't actually hurt going into that game against Georgia. He just decided, hey, man, we might get our heads beat in, but it's all right. And he said, y'all gonna get y'all heads. Y'all, that's nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Baby.
I think it was pretty clear how him and Brent Key didn't really see eye to eye on injury, on wanting to be there. And it just with Key getting the nod to be the new head coach, it just didn't make sense for him to try and stick around.
Right. And let me 100% honor that is a joke. I do not actually believe that he was healthy and didn't want to play. It is a joke. So I don't want
rumors get started.
I know the fans on this show like to jump me. They like to catch me outside, and they always say, come outside, we're not gonna jump you. Then as soon as I walk outside, it's about 5 fists coming at me. But with that being said, I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out, because Nebraska is in what I would consider one of the worst divisions in all of the Power Five. The Big Ten West definitely would give the Coastal a run for its money in terms of like who's worse pound for pound. And with that being said, I really, really think that Jeff is in a good position to do some things and play some teams that are just like, I mean, you're gonna have some opportunities there. Yeah. So we'll see if Matt Rule truly is a quarterback whisperer. We'll see if Jeff Sims is truly a good quarterback that should be considered in the 2024 NFL draft.
And I think it's nice for Rule to get back into the college swing of things for him. I think that, pro sports is maybe a little bit overwhelming and he couldn't quite handle it. And my personal opinion, as someone who is from the Carolinas, I think it's a little too big for his britches. I hope that Jeff Sims and him can find that nice connection and get things popping. So there's that. Another quarterback to mention, we had Drake May, who $5 million allegedly said that was not the case. Those were just rumors. He is staying at North Carolina, but his backup, Jacoby Criswell, is heading to Arkansas. Give him a nice little shot to be competing in quarterback competition this spring. I just think, can we just stop for a second? We're talking about transfer portal. If I was offered $5 million, I don't care how loyal I am to that school. I don't care.
I'm right there with you. And when you really like get into it and really put some brain power behind this thing, turning down $5 million because you like a school is crazy.
Turning down $5 million because you feel like you owe them loyalty or like,
I'm gonna tell you this: there are too many unknowns in life, in sports, and all the things. For example, look at the last two quarterbacks out of the state of North Carolina that were supposed to be the new hotness. Look at Sam Howell. Look at Devin Leary. Yep. Both of them going into the season were supposed to be first-round picks, certified first-round picks, top 15, 20 type guys, right? And then all of a sudden, it took one injury and one season where, honestly, I didn't even think Sam Howell performed poorly in his last season. I just think that the team around him absolutely let him down in a phenomenal way. They let him down in a way that I'm just like,
that O-line is terrible.
I'm worried. I'm concerned. I'm weary of the ways of the world, in the words of Solange Knowles. With that being said, I don't see a world in which it makes sense because, again, you saw one guy go from ACC preseason player of the year to out for the year to having to transfer to prove his worth to the NFL. You saw the other guy who was in front of you, the guy that was in front of you. You watched him go from Heisman candidate, first round guy, to when did he actually get drafted? In the 4th round?
Yeah, I think 4th or 5th.
4th or 5th round. When you get drafted in the 4th or 5th round, I don't think you make $5 million over your entire rookie contract.
And I think that, to me, Sam is still playing behind Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke.
Yeah, Heineke.
Heineke, who I think he's better than both of those jokers, but that's another story for another day. So I'm just saying all that to say, ain't enough loyalty in the world. 5 million, 2 million, 1 million, 80 million. Unless you get it in writing or you get an upfront, cash that you can cash out, I say just go ahead and do it.
Yep. According to the NFL draft salaries in April of 2020, 4th round selections are about 4.1 million to 3.78 million over a 4-year range.
So hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him. We say all that to say, hopefully it doesn't come back to bite him. I'm hoping that he thrives with this new quarterbacks coach and, Phil Longo leaving and all the things, and we'll just be good to go.
With the divisions leaving as well, because
exactly.
let's be honest now. There's a very sharp split in the numbers between the coastal teams that they play and the Atlantic teams that they play. There's a sharp split. So
there's a growth opportunity for Drake May this season. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
One quarterback that's still looking for a home, former Virginia quarterback Brennan Armstrong has yet to declare where he will take his talents going into next season. He has another year left. He was battling injury going into this year. He fought through it. He played Virginia had a hard year. Beyond just the tragedy that happened, Virginia had a hard year going every single game with fighting for their life, right? So I'm hoping that they don't use that against him, and Elliott speaks well of him and he finds the right place for him to have one good year.
I agree. We have seen a ton. And when I say a ton, I mean we have seen a ton of really good quarterbacks who have had just 1 year where everything kind of worked out for them in that last year. And then they went on to vault themselves up into really good territory. And it's the same thing here. It's the same thing, hoping that he has a great year and everything works out well for him, because by all reports, I haven't heard anything terrible about the young man. I haven't heard anything that there is a, he's this or he's that, or I haven't heard anything along those lines.
Right.
So with that being said, I really and truly hope that he does well wherever he goes in this last year. And I'm not just saying that because NC State is one of the names that's been closely associated with him. Seriously, I hope wherever he goes, he gets a shot and he gets to put his full talents on display, because again, and I'm gonna tell you, I hope that he stays in conference, because it's good for the ACC when we have good players.
Yeah.
Okay. And a guy like Brennan Armstrong leaving would definitely be a noticeable departure for the ACC, despite what this last season told us.
1,000%. 2 running backs that are finding new homes here. Kobe Pace and Jalen Knighton are both going to different schools, one staying within the conference. Kobe Pace is deciding to take his talents to Virginia. We know he worked with Tony Elliott in the past. He is going to have a great opportunity there to do big things. And Jalen Knighton is going to SMU on the Pony Express. Maybe he'll do the damn thing and get himself, an opportunity, just be, a fresh change of pace, something different out in Dallas.
I don't think that the folks in Dallas are too excited when they hear the Pony Express. You know what I mean? But with NIL, I mean,
they probably were excited because honestly, it was a good time. It ended up being jacked up, but in the end, but at the time while they were playing, it was cool.
All I'm saying is this. You know what I mean? It's legal now. It's legal now. Yeah, folks in Dallas, it's legal. But with that being said, Jalen Knighton is a guy that he has versatility out of the backfield that NFL teams salivate over. They just love. He can catch the ball out of the backfield better than I've seen out of most running backs. And he's a really good route runner as well. And he's got that even leaving speed. So, he's definitely a big pickup for SMU. And Kobe Pace, a player that had such high hopes. And I get that this is the case for every Clemson player, right? Every Clemson player is going to be a 4 or 5 star, whatever the case may be. And Kobe Pace was a top 50 guy coming out of Georgia, and it just never kind of materialized. You thought he was the backup to ETN, and so when he leaves, you think, oh, he's going to take over, and then this Shipley kid comes in and is just seen as the guy. You hope that Kobe Pace at Virginia, where he's probably going to be the lead back, has a better chance or has more production and is puts on a better showing and gets the opportunity to do so than was the case at Clemson, rather.
100%. It can happen so easily. You're out with your friends and coworkers. You're putting a few drinks back. A few becomes a few too many. It's time to go. And for a moment, you think you're of calling a ride. But no, you're a good driver. You live nearby. You can make it home okay. What are the odds you'll get pulled over? And even so, what's the worst that could happen? You lose your license. You lose your job. You total your car or you kill someone. It only takes one mistake to change your life or someone else's forever. Play it safe and plan ahead to get a ride, drive sober, or get pulled over. And especially emphasis on the New Year's Eve season, New Year's Day, all the things. Make sure you get Uber. Make sure that you get a ride, get a Lyft. However you can get have a designated driver who is sober. Make sure you just do all the smart things that'll get you home to your family for our year 2023. Now we're rocking and rolling through the last part of our show here, talking about the upcoming bowl games that are happening tomorrow night. Duke will take on UCF in the Military Bowl at 2 p.m. on ESPN. It's been a while since our friends there at Duke have been in a bowl game. It's first game out of the first bowl series for Mike Elko and company, and it's a great opportunity to continue to show why Duke is moving in the right direction, playing a really good UCF team.
Absolutely. This is a UCF team that I want to say has lost at home 3 or 4 times in the past couple of years. That's a really good UCF team. And I want to say they beat Louisville earlier this year. Did they beat Louisville or did they lose to Louisville? I
think it was a really close game.
They lost a close game to Louisville. But that's still a really, really good group of 5 team in UCF. With that being said, I think Elko and the boys get the job done. I was not a believer in Elko and company coming into the year, but he has, helped out the conference and hurt my pockets. Shout out to Miss Candace Cooper there. But he's definitely elevated this team to a level that I did not think was possible this quickly for them. So shout out to him. I've got, nothing but good words to say about him. This team, I think, is primed to get themselves their 9th win of the year against UCF here.
Duke opens up at -3.5. I think it's going to be a really close matchup. Hopefully Duke comes out early and, punches them in the mouth quickly, because sometimes I feel like they can hold back, and they are a really sound team that doesn't make too many mistakes, but they're certainly going to have to, strike early and often as they can. Moving on to Oregon and UNC at 8 p.m. on Fox, the Holiday Bowl, where it's out in San Diego, and North Carolina has been living the life. If you follow them on their socials, been at the zoo, been at the, where is it? The fighter planes or whatever, naval officer type things. They've just been living the life. Now, can they put it together and have a really good game against Oregon after losing Tony Grimes, who's going to Texas A&M, which is ironic because last year they played Texas A&M in the bowl game. Maybe the Aggies saw something. They said, you know what? We need that young man. And he was like, nah, I'm going to give it one more go at North Carolina. He, unfortunately, is taking his talents to a College Station, but we'll figure how, next man up. It's not even next man up. It's literally like next scout team up for North Carolina in this secondary, and against a really good Oregon team who also is having a really good recruiting season in terms of signees and all the things. So they're on a high right now. They're feeling like they are going to be one of the teams to beat going into next year. And what better way to prove it than to beating one of the best quarterbacks in the country?
If you are a Carolina fan for this game, watch and just hope that everybody has fun.
Come out clean bill of health, all the things. Just enjoy it.
Hope that Drake stays healthy and that he doesn't have to consider that $5 million. You know what I mean? He just keeps his mind stayed exactly where it is. That's the best case scenario here. I don't think that they have much of a chance, but hey, this is why you play the games. They've got a fighter's chance, if Bo Nix goes down or if half of Oregon's defense is out with some unknown illness of sorts, lots of good things could happen. No, but seriously, I do think that this Oregon team is just too much. I struggle to find where this team in terms of UNC gets their motivation after how we saw the ending of this season go. how you go out in terms of being one of the best teams in the nation and having your quarterback mentioned in the Heisman talks and all of those good things. And then ending the season on a 3-game losing streak that includes to a Georgia Tech team that's not bowl eligible, that includes to your rivals who are starting their 4th different quarterback of the year, that includes an absolute blowout by a team that was playing a quarterback who had not started all year, who was playing as their main guy for that entire game virtually, who you all said you didn't prepare for. How do you come back from that? I don't know. And I think this is one of those moments where, again, Oregon is going to have their way with this team a little bit.
Mop the floor? You think it's going to be a blowout?
Yeah.
Not even close.
I'll tell you this. Vegas has the spread at 14. I think that's about right. I don't think that Oregon will beat them by much more than that. I could be wrong there, but I don't see the game being much closer than that.
I don't think it'll be a game. I think it'll be you'll see flashes of Drake. You'll be like, oh, okay, like the offense is there, but it won't ever be because it's like an actual game and they're coming back or making it. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay,
I get you. And is Downs playing?
No.
Okay, yeah, no. I was wrong. I'm sorry. 14 may be too close. Take that.
Oh my God!
If you're better, go ahead and book it. Take it.
And on that note, hope everybody has fun. Well, if you're out there at least you're warm over there on the West Coast and you're enjoying, the views and all the things. Hopefully you'll maybe travel back to North Carolina eventually with all these flight cancellations, but you'll have a great New Year. And we'll recap the bowl games. We are so far on 2-0 streak, right? We got Wake Forest pulling out a dub. We got Louisville pulling out a dub. So we're looking good as a unit, which is a rare treat these days. So we're going to keep this streak going. We're going to be 4-0, hopefully by 3-1.
We can hope for 4-0. We can hope. Listen, we can hope against hope. Okay, we are Americans, baby. We don't believe in evidence. We don't believe it. We will keep rolling. We will keep rolling with our belief. You know what I mean? I'm gonna tell you. And you from the Bible Belt, you know that when the doctors say no, when the teams say no, who can still say yes?
On that note, we hope that you have a great, safe holiday. We hope to come back here on Thursday to give you another episode. But if we don't see you before 2023, we have some really big news going into next year that we can't wait to share. But for Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, until next time.